Welcome to the New Record podcast, where we explore the journey of African women building boldly in unconventional career paths, including the world of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and all the beautiful places all those paths can lead. All the beautiful places they have led me in my career as a climate scientist. My name is Linda Ogalo, a proud woman in STEM, and let's get curious together. Hey everyone, welcome back to New Recode. Today's conversation is pretty exciting. We're looking into space. And our guest today, Charlynne Jepkosgei, is the founder of Women in Space Science. So if you're curious about space and what's happening up there and how that relates to us down here, I hope you'll tune in and will be captured by this conversation as I am. Charlynne, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Such a pleasure.
I'm actually looking forward to learning from you because you're the first geospatial engineer that I have ever met.
That's interesting.
Everybody I know does geospatial information system, remote sensing, but I've never met a geospatial engineer. Yeah. So let's begin your journey from the beginning. Little Charlynne.
Yeah.
How does little Charlynne think about space and end up being interested in space?
In the space industry. Yeah, that's an interesting question for sure. Because I grew up in Nandi. I come from Nandi County, a village called Kaptumo, and in Kaptumo we are really surrounded by big natural resources. Like we have the biggest forest called Nandi Forest. So me and my sisters. I have up the firstborn. So we used to, a long time ago, we used to like go to the forest and just walk around. And I was really always fascinated by, how the forest is, the nature aspect of it. And also we have like water bodies around our place. So we used to like go collect water, fetch it in the jelly cans and come. So I just used to be fascinated by natural resources. And I think that is like now the nature side of me and the environment and the geography that really fascinated me. And I think when it comes to the space, that's where now actually we get to apply it more. So growing up after that, then I went to primary, high school. When I was joining the university, I didn't know really there's like a space industry, right? I wanted to be an engineer for sure. I wanted to be a civil engineer. But then my points didn't really match up. So I was called to a university to do BCom. Actually, that was my first degree that I started with. But then 2 months in, I was like, no, I really feel like I want to be an engineer. Yeah. So I went to do an in-faculty transfer in the admissions, and they told me maybe you can try geospatial engineering. So I was like, what is that about? So they told me it's about geography and, like creating maps and all that. And you can still work with the civil engineers. And now it really brought the memories, like when I was a kid, that I used to now enjoy being in the forest and just studying, So I knew there was going to be a connection in that. And I think I was like, let me try and see what this geospatial is all about. Yes.
So it was a matter of kismet.
We can say something like that. Like things just rolled out and it worked out that I got now into the geospatial space. And since then that I've been doing the geospatial engineering, I've really fallen in love and now I'm in the space industry, yes.
So how do you move from being in primary school? What was your wanting to be an engineer? Who was some of the people you looked up to?
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't have that. My dad is a policeman. My mom is a businesswoman, right? In the back then, we didn't have like a lot of engineers. So most of the people that I knew, my uncles, I'm the firstborn, so I didn't have like bigger siblings. Most of them were either teachers or let's say now in the police. I actually didn't know about any engineer. It's so interesting that just with time as I grew, I just had now this interest that I wanted to be an engineer, But then, of course, now I think during now high school, when you can hear like there are engineers, there are different types of engineering, civil. I used to see construction, like people are building houses, building roads. And I think for me, that is what I was like more accustomed to. because there was like Chinese company that came to next to our village. They were building roads, and I was just fascinated of being in that particular sector. Yeah, so that's how I like just knew by observing, but I didn't really have anyone to look up to, and that is the story that I need to share about, because that's now the mentorship part that I feel like I didn't have it until when I really grew up, until when I was in university.
So tell us more about that journey. You decide who's the first person you tell, I'm going to be an engineer? And how do your parents, not knowing any engineer, take that conversation?
Interestingly, I discovered that by myself. Like, it was just an in thing for me. It was more like, this is what I want to become. I want to be an engineer, right? So when
At
I
what age?
finished, yes, that was in primary. When I finished high school, because I remember when I finished high school, and then people were asking, which career do you want to be? That time we didn't even know. Like, I want to be okay. When I was young, I wanted to be a doctor. But now growing up, I'm a really empath, and I was like, I don't like to see people suffering and being sick and like seeing blood and all those things. So I was like, maybe doctor is not for me. I want to be an engineer, right? So how I really decided that I want to be an engineer is after high school now, when we were choosing courses, and people like, okay, what do you want to go and do in the university? So that's now when it dawns to you that, by the way, I need to choose my career. So for me, I decided I want to be an engineer then. And when I was choosing the courses, now I was looking at, I want to do engineering. And I applied civil engineering, University of Nairobi, civil engineering, JKUAT, civil engineering, I think it was Technical University. And then the last choice, I wrote Bachelor's of Commerce. And that is because I listened to a friend. Yes, but in my heart, I knew I wanted to be an engineer then. And then that's when I joined the university, then there was now that transition of from BCom to trying to be a civil engineer, but then I ended up in geospatial. But it started from me, and I just told my parents I want to be an engineer.
And what did they say when you told them you want to be an engineer?
They have been supportive. Yeah, my parents have been. It feels like for me now, being her firstborn, it's like I always decide things and then I tell them, this is what I'm going to do. I want to do this. I want to be an engineer. They just support. They have never really been like, no, you need to try something else. They always, it's like that. It's like a trust that they have that you're choosing something for yourself. And it's always been supportive. So that's how I communicated to them, and they were supportive.
I think with most people that we meet and have conversations with, most of them end up kind of accidentally in the wrong course, like you did doing BCom.
Yeah.
But very few people have the courage to say, no, this is not what I want. This is what I want. Let me go after it. So what was that thought process for you? What is it about? Because most people just resolve, okay, let me adapt. This is what life has given me.
Yeah.
What gave you the courage to decide, let me make this shift?
I would say it was just intrinsic for me. I've learned, and as I've grown up, I've learned that I always I would say I always don't want to say like I'm a go getter. Like, when I want something, I will go for it. So it's mostly always intrinsic for me. It's more like, this is how I feel and this is what I want, so I will go for it, right? So when I joined BCom, I was there for 2 months, right? So I was sitting in class, attending the lectures. So it was on mathematics, business, accounting. But then in my spirit, and just at the end of the day, I was feeling like, I don't feel like this is what I want to sit and really like do, like, the accounting stuff. I felt like I was really drawn to engineering. I was just like, I want to go to the engineering class, the technical stuff, because the mathematics let's say in BCom, okay, I've been a lover of mathematics since I was young. So the mathematics that I was having in BCom, for me, it felt like,
It wasn't
it was
challenging.
easy. It was not challenging, exactly. And I think for me, I really thrive in challenging. When I see something is challenging me, then I'm like, I want to be there and really solve it, right? So sitting in the BCom class, I was like, I feel out of place. So I was like, let me do this transfer. And I knew that the only thing I can do that is by going to ask. So of course, developing a courage to say, let me go to the administration and tell them I want to change course from BCom to engineering. Yeah, so it started from within, that this is what I want to do. I want to be an engineer, right? Then now creating a courage around me and be like, let me go to the department and tell them I want to shift from BCom to engineering. Yes.
So now you're in class, decided of discovered this new geospatial engineering.
Yeah.
What does that transition look like for you?
The transition was quite vast, I would say. Yeah. So in BCom, we were in class. I would say, let me talk about the numbers and also like the representation of it. So in BCom, we were almost equal. Let's say we were a class of 50. We had like almost 25 girls or 30 girls, and then almost equal, the male counterparts, right? So when I shifted to engineering, so that is when now after they checked my points, they looked at that I'm able to, because I performed better, good in grades, mathematics and the sciences, because I did all the sciences. I did mathematics, I did physics, science, biology and chemistry, right? So I had good points that could now take me to the engineering. So when that was already confirmed, then I already could shift. So being in class, so now the first one, the change was going now from BCom class, that was now like full representation of both females and females, and then I'm going to engineering. So we had like different blocks. So when I went to engineering, the first thing that I came in contact with was, in my class we were now 5 girls, and now the rest we were like 70, but then 5 girls, and then we have 65 boys, right? So then that's already a shift, that it's a bit different. And then now, of course, now starting to do the units, you feel like now it's really challenging, because now we used to do like mathematics A, mathematics B, so it was now more complicated. But now for me, because I love the challenge, that it really thrills me so much, and it was very interesting now to do that, to be in that class. Yes.
Wow. So now space science. I think for many people, we don't connect Africa with space science, or Kenya with Kenya. Yeah, actually, even Kenya, we don't connect the two.
Yeah.
So then what does that look like for you coming into, do you see, what does that even mean for someone to have a career in space science?
Yeah. So it's interesting because now that I've done geospatial engineering, that every time I tell someone I'm a geospatial engineer, people are like, eh? Okay, what is that? So it starts from there. So for me, now that I did geospatial engineering, so what, if I can just give a background of it and now how it translates now to the African context. So geospatial engineering, before it was more like survey. It was just like the normal land survey. When people see surveyors either on roads or near a building, and then they have like these machines that they're looking. So they like try to measure topography, and like they try to do the leveling, right? But then with time, because of technology has advanced over the years, we are now trying to use, or we are now have adopted space component of how to measure. Because survey is about taking measurements of the earth,
Yeah.
right, of the earth surface. But then now, because of advanced technology, we're now incorporated the space component, now using, let's say, like flying. We have what is called photogrammetry. So or aerial photogrammetry. So you fly, let's say, an aeroplane over over the earth's surface. You take pictures, and then now you can also still collect measurements by that. And then that has advanced to drones. It has advanced to using satellites, which are now in space. And then now that is the space component that we are now bringing into the geospatial, right? So now to take measurements, to create maps, to observe, and to generate and information that can really inform, right? So now when I finished, for me, I practiced a bit on the land surveying, and then I wanted to shift for also, again, my heart was like, I don't want to be a surveyor just on the ground. I want now to use this space component, the satellites images, the satellite in the space. So now using that component, you're able to study the earth. Yeah, you're able to use those kind of data to study anything. So you can look at either the urban planning, agriculture, forest, water bodies, and all that. And you can not only study or apply that knowledge in just, let's say, like in Kenya context. I can actually have a map of Africa. I can look at that data. I can look at a satellite image, and I can create map of Africa. I can get the coordinates of the boundaries of Kenya. I can extract it. I can extract the boundaries of Uganda. I can actually like have a whole view of the earth, and then I can say I want to focus in Africa. So that's where actually now the African context and the geospatial now come into hand in hand. Yeah.
So if there's a parent or a young person who wants to think about doing geospatial engineering
Yeah.
versus doing geospatial information systems versus doing remote sensing? How do you know that I am on the engineering side versus on the information system side? Like how do you tell the different?
The difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you need a different kind of background to do?
No, so it's interesting because geospatial engineering is like now the broad course. So GIS, or what you call just geographic information system, and even remote sensing is a component. It's just like a unit within geospatial engineering. And even this GIS, or we call it now the geography, instead of me saying in full GIS or remote sensing, it's also taught in other courses. You can be doing maybe a health course on. So they always have also like mapping systems. They need to understand the GIS part of it. So it's just a unit. But then if you want to really get into the whole aspect of how do you, because now with geospatial engineering, you not only just use the tool GIS or remote sensing, you now grow into the aspect of being an engineer. And engineers, what do? They look at problems, they find problems, and they create solutions out of it. So for having now doing a geospatial course means still be able to use this component like the GIS and the remote sensing, but you're now looking at the whole spectrum of identifying a problem maybe in a community, and then now using that knowledge to translate and now bringing the GIS and remote sensing, and then you really solve a particular problem in a society or in a particular, let's say if it's in agriculture, if it's in climate, if it's in urban planning. Yes, so that's how I can tell the two.
I think my GIS course was to help me build maps for climate.
Yeah,
I took a course from RCMRD, which is
nice.
what's the RCMRD stand for?
Regional
Remote.
Center for Mapping and Research Development. Yeah.
And so we took a few short courses on GIS, and I think that's what kind of shaped what I decided to do for my PhD.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I was looking at, I was trying to understand in Somalia, because I was working in Somalia at the time. I was trying to, and usually they say when you do your PhD, pick the simplest problem. And then don't try to solve big problems while doing your PhD. The PhD is not the time to solve problems.
Yeah.
The objective of a PhD is to pass and to finish. So you pick the smallest problem in the most convenient way, and then you finish. So because I was working in Somalia and there wasn't a lot of information in Somalia, I chose now to do, because now I'd done this course in GIS.
Yeah.
I was like, if I can figure out, and every time we'd go, you'd just see a lot of charcoal.
Yeah.
Like walls and walls of charcoal. I'm just like, these are trees. These guys have been cutting trees for a long time, and this place is inaccessible. Nobody has studied how the rate of deforestation for these trees.
Yeah.
And so with support from my colleagues at work who are doing GIS, I was like, I can be able to look at the climate component and look at the rate of deforestation. So it helped me do my PhD.
Nice.
And now it also helps me do my maps.
Nice.
Yeah. So then what makes you think, okay, I think you haven't walked us through then your undergrad, you've gotten your underground.
Yeah.
What's this next step?
So when I was now doing the geospatial engineering, because now you're studying different things, different units, right? So we did, of course, the mathematics, the physics component on it, and then now the GIS and remote sensing. But then what you get to learn when you're doing the course is that you can apply this knowledge in different sectors. So by the time you're finishing doing the geospatial engineering, you can choose, my interest is to use GIS or this remote sensing, or now the geospatial component in, let's say, in food security, right? Yeah. That's already a sector. You can either choose to go into the water sector and study, how do we manage water, the flooding aspects and all those things. You can choose you want to also apply it in urban planning. So like already, even when you're doing the course, you're taught about the application side of things. And actually, it's interesting that geospatial, you can actually work anywhere, even in the bank. You can use it. It's a course that you can apply it anywhere. Yeah. So by the time you finish, for me, of course, people finish and then you're like, this is my interest. For me, my interest was really because I told me growing up, I was surrounded by nature, the forest. So for me, I'm more drawn into the natural resource, like using GIS or remote sensing now to solve things around natural resources. And now food security is also I want to solve problems on food, food security aspect. So for me, that was already defined by the time I'm finishing. So I knew that I wanted to now transition. If I'm transitioning to the industry, I'll have to look for organizations that are in line with food security. And of course, maybe I can mention a few. It could be like Food and Agriculture Organization that is for the United Nations, or maybe get into the Ministry of Agriculture. For me, that was my path. That's what I wanted to do. But anyone else can choose. I want to use this maybe for urban planning, or I just want to become a surveyor, right? So for me, my transition was when I finished, I went to the industry. The first job or the first internship that I actually got, I could say it's an internship. It was a startup company called Fresh Pro.
Okay.
And Fresh Pro, it was interesting because someone called me and they were like, Charlynne, you've been doing geospatial engineering. There's this company that is starting and they're working with farmers in Kiambu. They're developing an application where, people we're in Nairobi, right? People are, I would not say, like people want convenience, right? So there are farmers planting things like tomatoes, onions, the vegetables, fresh vegetables. And now people, let's say in Kilimani or in Karen, they want fresh fruits. But because people are let's say busy in the week, they can't go to the market to get the fresh produce. So this company saw a need, right? So they wanted to really bring the fresh produce from the farms to people's houses. So they created an app. And now for me, my work was to come in and help them develop route mapping. You see, like Google Maps, like yes, we use Google Maps. So we need to know how do we get the fresh produce from the farms to the people's houses at the fastest route. Yeah, so for me that was my my first job, and it was so it was really good for me because I was like, this is now I'm getting to apply, now the geospatial aspect into the food security aspect. So I got a chance to develop an app. Of course, I'm good in programming, but of course I had now other people, the coders now bringing the programming aspect of it. But we're still now using maps, like using Google Maps, like Uber, the way you can see and monitor. Yeah. There's traffic here, there's traffic there. And also mapping where the farmers are. It's like you use satellite imagery. You look at how the farmers are. You can see the coordinates. You can see how the farm is. You can know what they have planted. You can see that in a satellite image. And you can tell how much even the harvest is going to come out. Yeah. So you can already even inform the farmers in advance that they're going to produce this much. And then now you take that, you have the database for farmers, and then you're able now to inform this is the amount of tomatoes that will come from this farm. And then now they take that and then they say, they get the people to buy, and then now they transfer it they take it to their homes. That was my first time that I actually used geospatial engineering into food security. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's very interesting. So then how do you end up in the field? Because I think from our side of things, because in terms of climate, food security is one of the biggest things for Africa.
Yeah.
And ideally, we would like to be able to say, given this climate, this is the amount of food security.
Yeah.
Or amount of crops that you'll be able to get in the next 3-6 months in the next for the region. And that's been impossible to do because, again, you need a geospatial engineer.
Yeah.
But the biggest challenge has been smallholder farmers have small farms. So it's kind of hard to be able to use. So how are you solving this problem? Because we've not been able to solve it. And I don't think I know anyone who's been able to do that kind of projections from... So is this what you're doing? How are you solving this?
It's interesting. Actually, I did that for my master's. I did that project for my master's. And what you do is when you use satellite imagery, that's now the component of remote sensing in geospatial. You take satellite imagery, right? And then it gives you an image. It's like it just takes an image. You see the way you can take a photo of you like this. So it will give you an image, but it's from above. So you're able to see. The thing is for sure that with remote sensing, the pixel size covers, let's say, like 30 by 30. But most challenge that we have, especially in Africa, right, is that people they divide their land. Small portions, like a family can have, let's say, 50 acres of land.
Yeah.
But because they have children and then this part of inheritance, so you have to divide your land to your sons. So people end up having even like a quarter. And then if you're trying to really map that and really try to estimate, it's really a big challenge. That's for sure, I would say. It's a big challenge that we're having because with satellite imagery that are up there, they have a certain dimension. So by the time you're looking at it, it only covers 1 pixel. And you can't do so much or get information with only 1 pixel. You need more so that it can give you more information. So what has been done in the sector is that we have now improved versions of, let's say, satellites. So instead of taking, let's say, 30 by 30 meters, there are certain satellites that really take small pixels, like up to 2-meter level. Or now you can let's say, adopt a drone. A drone we can just fly in a particular farm. Kama niyo, an eighth of a farm, right? You can take the coordinates and you can still do analysis for it, and it will tell you. You can actually estimate the amount of food that will come because you look at the inputs, and then you also try to estimate based on the size of land how much output may become amepanda, let's say, a maize or kales. You can actually do some estimations, and then now you get an output out of it. But of course, a lot has to be done. Either you adopt new technology, but as well, in as much as we're using satellite imagery, we always have to go to the field to verify.
Yes.
You have to collect data. So you have to go to the field. Even for when I was doing my master's, my study was looking at farmers who are doing monocrop versus farmers who are doing intercrop, and just trying to see understand why they're doing it, and also try to see, am I able to differentiate a monocrop field versus an intercrop field using satellite imagery? And I had to go to the field and collect the boundaries of that. And with that, you can be able to estimate.
I think it's usually done a lot in the West.
Exactly.
Because they practice
large-scale farming.
And therefore, if you have land that is hundreds of acres, getting a drone makes financial sense.
Yeah.
But then now you come to this context where people have an eighth, an acre. So that kind of science doesn't always make sense.
Exactly.
So then, okay, let's bring in, at what point do you decide women in space science? How does that come about? So you're in your journey, you've gotten your undergrad, you've gotten your first job.
Yeah.
Where do you see the need, why you need to begin this? Or tell us more about women in space science and what sparked it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually an interesting journey that came about. And I think drawing from where I told you that you asked me if I had an engineer that I looked up to when I was growing up, right? I didn't have that. I actually came to know about, let's say, mentorship, or really looking up to someone, or having someone to say, I want to be like Linda. I want to be like, that person. So what happened is, after I finished the university, for me, I love being in spaces. Like, apart from the academics, I love being in other spaces, like being active in clubs and associations, going to conferences and seminars, right? So there's a conference that I went, actually by RC Maridi, the one that you've mentioned. There was a time immediately after I finished, and I went to this conference and I met a lady called Stella, and Stella became my friend. Yeah, so we just had a conversation, and she told me, I did Geospatial Engineering. I'm just finishing my master's. And she was just talking to me about her career journey, and it really sparked me. And I was like, yeah, maybe it's a good thing to have someone who's done it, has gone to the journey of masters, because that's also what I was aiming for. So interestingly, she told me about, there's this university in the Netherlands that you can apply for. That's where I studied for my master's. And I was like, this is someone like I can walk that journey with. So for me, it was more like a starting point for having a friend, but also like a mentor, someone who has done something ahead of you. Like, they have already walked that journey, and now they're guiding you through. So I became friends with Stella. She helped me to apply for a scholarship, identify actually the university, apply for a scholarship. I got my scholarship to go and do my master's, exactly the same university that she did. And because she also guided me, right? So it started from that. And then when I finished, so through that, when I was doing my master's, she could share opportunities. And there was another one that she shared on Space for Women mentorship. It's a UNOSA Space for Women. It's like a mentorship program. I applied for it. I got into that cohort. It's a cohort for 2023. So I had a mentor, right, who walked with me that journey. So by the time I was finishing, I was really seeing the value of mentorship. And when I finished my masters, I was like, for me, apart from being a technical person, I always love creating opportunities for others or empowering others. Even when I was in the university, I was not only studying geospatial engineering. I used to be very active in clubs and associations. I was actually a student leader as well. I went and contested for those positions, and it was really male dominated. So when I came back, when I finished the masters, I was like, maybe it's a good thing that we get to create a community that empowers others, or really create a place, especially for mentorship, where we link mentors and mentees, people who are already in the industry. And because I already saw the big impact that mentorship, especially through with Stella, and she's actually the co-founder of Women in Space. Yeah. So we just talked, and we're like, because we come across, through that exposure, we come across a lot of opportunities. We want to also empower other girls to not only just maybe choose other courses, but also come into the STEM courses, right? And now, because for us, we are in the space industry or the geospatial space, we want also to encourage more and actually create awareness that there's a course that is called geospatial or a space science, that you can actually use a space science to come. And now for us, we decided a component of women, because they're looking at the numbers from my experience and also from her experience, that there's actually less number of women, in that. And I was saying that when I was in university and I was active, I used to still do mentorship. Like I used to go to high school with my colleagues. We used to just organize, like we're coming from Nandi, let's go to schools in Nandi. We go to a primary school, we bring other schools, we talk to them about careers. We also used to do like sanitation, distributing sanitary towels and all that. So already the empowerment was already in me. So, but then by the time I was finishing my master's, I now wanted to create a structured way of doing the empowerment, the leadership or the mentorship. Yeah, that's why we thought, let's start a community, a professional community that can now support. And now we decided, let's focus on the girl child, because there is a gap in that.
Yeah.
And now I started doing that with Stella, who was started as a friend and now has been a mentor all through. Yeah.
So if you were to look back at some of the decisions you made, like your journey through this,
Yeah.
what challenges or what risks do you feel like other girls will face walking in your shoes? Or are there any risks, or is it all rosy?
Challenges. I always say this, but people don't believe me sometimes. Like, I used to be a shy girl. Like, I was very shy. Yeah, I was very shy when I was joining. The university, I was so shy, and I didn't, like just how I was brought up. I didn't know how to speak well, how to express myself, how to just say something if something is wrong or something like that. And even the aspect of saying I want to change from, let's say, BCom to geospatial. So the challenge is, for me, I've seen over time, and because also I've done a lot of like personal development, the challenge has always been, it's always within us, like that fear, that doubting yourself, or feeling like I'm not enough, or maybe you want to do an engineering course and you're like, that is for people who are maybe good in mathematics, or it's just for people who are so bright, or so it's always start by having those things like, I fear going to do a mathematics course or an engineering course. Because for me, I had to face all those kind of challenges, because I feel like that is most of the challenges that we face as people, especially when we want to grow. So it always starts from within, like that doubt. You doubt yourself that I'm not good enough. Maybe if I contest for this, I will fail. Or if I do this, if I take this course, maybe it will not be with something that I love. But that is where you start. You always start by conquering those voices, that fear, the voices, the doubts. And then now, of course, now when you come to the world, once you have tackled that within yourself, then you can be, of course, there are a bit of challenges. Like, for instance, when I mentioned you go to a class full of people that, maybe a different gender or something, or you actually facing, you have maybe a unit that you're not understanding better. But you see, once you have developed that courage and you've removed that fear, you're able to reach out to people and say, hey, but here, nimelemewa, or I'm stuck here, can you help me? Yes. So there are challenges, a number of challenges that I've come across for sure. But it always starts by you really getting yourself up, standing and say, let me ask for help, or let me ask someone to come in and step in and doing it for me. Yes.
I think you've really modeled, at least your story shows the importance of not walking through the journey alone.
Yeah.
And now you're
important,
doing the
yes.
same for others.
Yes.
So if we think
Yeah.
through Charlynne outside of space science,
Yeah.
what else do you do? What do you do when you're not doing STEM?
Yes. So when I'm not doing STEM, and actually that's where I want to get more into it. I feel like I've been a technical person for most part of my journey. But now I want to really, and now with the women in space that I'm telling you, we've talked about, I'm really into inspiring others, into creating opportunities for others. For me, I believe, and I don't know if it's being a firstborn, that I have to create a path for my sisters, I'm also a mother of a daughter. So I have to, it's like you have to create path for someone else. And I believe not only I want to grow by myself, ati ni Charlynne afike tu uko juu, or by myself. I love to see people grow as well. So creating, for me, I do a lot of talks. I mentor. I actually am a mentor now in the space community. Being a firstborn, I'm now a big sister. So, and also being a mother. But I really love inspiring others. I'm a mentor. I love connecting people to opportunities. And it's really, I love it. It's just part of me. That's what I do now, aside from being a tech person. And for me, that's where I want my career to go towards. So in as much as I want to be technical, I am a technical person, but now I want to use that particular technical skills to either influence policy, communicate, create awareness to people. Because even one of the programs that we do is outreach. So going to schools, universities, talking to people about what space is all about. It's not about only being an astronaut out there. You can also be here and you're actually in space science, right? So actually creating awareness that space, it's possible, being a representative, and also just creating awareness and enabling people to embrace it, even in how they make decisions, and especially the government. How should they make decisions using the space sciences? Yeah.
So it seems like what seems most alive for you is moving from practice into policy.
Into policy,
and advocacy.
exactly. Yes.
So if you were to tell the girls or the little girls behind you,
Yeah.
what to expect as we close, if you had one word in terms of what they can hope for and what they can expect,
Yeah.
what would that be?
I would say that space is for everyone, and space is not actually, that's like, it's like I want to demystify the aspect of space, right? That space is for everyone, and space is not only just being an astronaut, right? When it comes to space science, it's all about the opportunities within the space science. You can actually be just a coder, you can be an artist, and in the space industry, you can be an urban planner. Like, space has several components that you can attach yourself to. You don't have to even just become a geospatial engineer only. You can even be a lawyer in space, because we have space law. You get? You can study law, but you can now put your work towards space components, space agendas, space, if it's now the Earth surface and stuff like that. So space is vast. It's for everyone, and it's possible. If people like me from the village who didn't know about space and I came to know about it, so it's really possible for you to come into the space industry and find your niche. Yeah. It's interesting that I have from the women in space, the closest girl that I work with, she's called Sally. She's actually in the mental space sector. But she's in the space industry right now. Like, we actually work very hand in hand. But you see, she's already from a different sector, and now she's learning how to transition to just bring a component of space science into mental health. Yeah. So it's open for everyone. That's what I can say, and leave it at that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Charlynne, for your time
Yeah.
and your very interesting insights. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been our episode for today. Thank you so much for being here with us. Whether you are with us just for curiosity, whether you're with us because you want to learn more about science and STEM, whether you're with us because you enjoy good conversation, thank you for staying with us. We hope you be with us next week, and let's stay curious together. Thank you.